It wasn't fans begging for a Spider-Man reboot in 2012. It was the suits at Sony watching a ticking clock. Arriving just 5 years after the creatively disastrous Spider-Man 3, The Amazing Spider-Man was greenlit for one inescapable reason: the infamous use it or lose it clause. If Sony went 5 years and 9 months without a movie starring the web-slinger, the rights would snap back to Marvel and Disney. Dropping only 2 months after the Avengers changed Hollywood forever, this reboot also gave Sony a shot at launching their own interconnected cinematic universe. At the time, it was viewed as a business decision so craven, it could have been dressed up in a lion's vest. But now, 14 years later, with the distance of time and a cast featuring two of the most acclaimed actresses of the last half century, does this movie actually live up to the adjective in its title? We're diving back into the sewers to take a look at The Amazing Spider-Man. Welcome to Superhero Cinema Club, an in-depth exploration of the history of superhero films. I'm Mark Schiff, and joining me as always, it's the Kurt Connors to my Richard Parker. It's Mike Carnes.
I don't really know what to say to that. He's kind of...
I mean, I'm not saying you're a villain, Mike. I'm just saying the two of us, we run deep. We got history.
That's right.
You're the homie. Right. You're like my right-hand man. That's all I'm trying to say. There's no shots fired. There's no subliminals.
Okay. All right. I like that one. That'll be good.
Yeah, there we go. Today we are going to be discussing the 2012 Spider-Man reboot, The Amazing Spider-Man. You can watch this film on Disney Plus and a variety of other streaming platforms. You can also watch it on 4K. I'm going to say something now I haven't talked about yet on the show. I think I'm going to buy 4K of every single superhero film that we've discussed on the show, even the bad ones.
Okay.
Like, I just want to get the like massive deluxe box sets that have all the movies together in like one fancy looking thing and just put that on the shelf. I think I'm going to do it.
That's a good idea. I've actually, like I mentioned once before, I've been kind of doing piecemeal, just buying whatever's like for sale on Amazon. I actually just bought E.T. in 4K for like $12 the other day.
God. Oh.
That's a good one.
You know, Mike, a little background for our listeners. E.T. is the first movie I remember seeing ever. Like, I saw it in theaters. I saw it at the drive-in. I was like 4 when it came out. I was very small, but I had E.T. toys. And I watched that movie back now, and it just wrecks me, dog. Like, I am like not just crying, but like at the end when he says goodbye, like it's like fully like trying to catch my breath cry. Like, I freaking love E.T. So that's a great 4K.
That's a great origin story.
Yeah, truly is. Steven Spielberg, man.
My first movie theater experience was 101 Dalmatians, the animated one. I remember my mom taking me to that.
No
very
kidding.
Specifically, yeah.
It must have been a re-release because that wasn't like in a 90s or 80s movie, obviously. So
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, it had to have been a re-release. The animated one?
Yeah, the original Disney one.
Yeah, it must have been a re-release. That's cool. Nice. Well, now that we've talked about a couple unbelievably timeless and classic films, we're going to discuss The Amazing Spider-Man. This is going to be an interesting episode, Mike, because I think this is one of the more big picture, interesting superhero films in the entire canon, certainly in the Spider-Man canon, not necessarily from a creative standpoint, but from a big picture Spider-Man standpoint. As we just mentioned in the intro, Sony had to make this movie. Like, they literally were like, we are against the clock for a Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man 4 was supposed to be done by Sam Raimi. They hired James Vanderbilt to write the film. They're going, giving drafts. Sam Raimi's like, I don't like it. He wanted to come back to kind of finish it, knowing that he wasn't really satisfied with Spider-Man 3. Just didn't work. And Sony was like, we're up against the clock, bro. He's like, I do not have time to make this movie. So he bailed. And they were like, screw it. We're going for the hard reboot. So that's what they did.
Back.
And it was... Yeah, exactly. It was kind of driven entirely by their own contractual obligations rather than like, we have a cool story we want to tell, you know, we have this and that. And I think what makes this film's legacy really complicated, in my mind at least, is they got a great cast. They got Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, Sally Field, Martin Sheen, Dennis Leary. Like, they have a cool cast of actors in
Yeah,
this
definitely.
film. It just feels very much like superhero product to me in my mind. We talked a lot about that during the X-Men season, how Fox was very involved with certain films in the X-Men series, just really getting their fingerprints all over it. And I think this one really shows. Again, this is the nature of the beast, right? All superhero films are seen by the studios as their big, we got to spend a bunch of money on making this and it'll give us a bunch of money back in return, right? They're not the same level of, oh, what a cool, interesting idea for a film. This isn't the playing field that we're talking about here. We're talking about the IP field, right? So it's inherent to all superhero films. The question is, can you transcend that? And obviously, the first two Spider Man films did. I think the third one did not. And then we get into the reboot. It's a very interesting little side detour here. What are your thoughts?
I think this one definitely feels more like a product than an actual film. Like you said, I'm reminded of the guy who does the pitch meetings on YouTube. And anytime he does a Disney movie, like a new Disney movie, the producer side of him is like, "So you have a new Star Wars product for me?" And it feels very much in that kind of same vein as well. Like you said, very talented cast. Apparently, even Sally Field was quoted later and being like, "No, this movie is no good. This movie is very, very bad." But she said that she had a lot of fun making it because I guess Martin Sheen was being very funny and charming on set, as was Andrew Garfield. So that's basically the only two actors that she interacts with the entire movie, and they all had a fun little dynamic going on there on set, apparently. But afterwards, she watched it once at the premiere and was like, "I will never see this again." So,
I think I saw that same interview, and I think there's a little more context here that's needed. So, Laura Ziskin was the producer on all of the Spider Man films up to this point. She had had a really successful career in Hollywood. She had done a lot of films, including Pretty Woman, just a number of different big movies before Spider Man, and she got into the IP business. And she tragically passed away from cancer the year before this movie was released. According to the interview I saw, Sally Field said she did it specifically for Ziskind because they were close and she wanted to support her friend. And she sounds like a lovely woman. Stand Up for Cancer, if you've heard of that organization and that campaign, was founded in her memory. So rest in peace to Laura Siskind. She was instrumental in all these movies, and I think by and large did really good job working on all the Spider-Man films and had a really, really great career. In fact, was married to Amazing Spider-Man co-screenwriter Alvin Sargent when she passed. So yeah, a lot of credit to her. It was definitely a paycheck for Sally Field, and I think again it kind of speaks to just the way that this film was all put together. As you may have guessed by our intro here, there's some business things at work with this Spider-Man movie. They did their best. We'll save our verdicts for the very end. But Mike, it got me thinking, if you're a writer in 2010, 2011, and you got a Spider-Man spec script and you're like, there's a reboot, I'm going to write something,
yeah.
pitch it to the studio executives. What is your personal Spider-Man reboot pitch?
Yeah, you texted me this question about 6 hours ago. So, in between working my full time job and making dinner and taking care of my dogs and all that, I've been actually thinking about this all day because this got me really excited. I just talked about the pitch meeting guy. I'm actually a big like pitch meeting just in general. I think that's a really fun prospect to be like, here's my idea for a story. I would love to pitch something one day to a Hollywood executive and see what they think. So, what I've come up with today in the last few hours. You could do it as a full on reboot. You could do it as Spider-Man 4 if you wanted it. It kind of doesn't really matter. You could recast a bunch of people, you could bring people back. The version of this story I'm going to tell is really not dependent on any of that. But we start with Peter Parker and he's having some memory problems. He has a lot of memory loss. And by the way, Peter Parker, since Toby has now left the franchise, let's say we don't have Andrew Garfield coming in. My dream casting in 2012 is a 23-year-old Anton Yelchin. Anton Yelchin from Star Trek 2009 and Terminator 4 and other things.
Let's go.
He looks exactly like Tom Holland before Tom Holland hit the scene.
He was actually in the running. You're not far off. He was in the running for this role.
Yeah, I think he would be absolutely perfect as Peter Parker, but he has a lot of memory loss right now. He basically kind of wakes up and he's like kind of remembering things from his past. Maybe he remembers some of the events from Spider-Man 3, maybe, we throw that in or not, but his memories are coming in kind of memento style. Maybe we do it in black and white, that kind of thing. But specifically, he's remembering working in a lab on a project, and there are spiders involved. He already has his spider powers. We've already done the Uncle Ben story. We're not doing all that. So he's already in full swing, like moving around the city in his suit and everything. He sees newspapers or maybe some TV spots or something of Spider Man doing something, but he's like, I don't remember doing that. Like, my memories are so shot right now. I don't know what's going on. He's not trusting himself and he thinks that maybe there's like an imposter Spider-Man out there. There's another one. So memories start coming back to him. He remembers Mary Jane. Of course, Mary Jane. He goes to find her. We can get Kiki to do the cameo here or not. It doesn't really matter either way. And she specifically says something like, "You look different," maybe referencing that it's Anton Yelchin now instead of Tobey Maguire, but also it comes into play later. She's like, there's something different about you. But she's like, I'm really surprised you don't remember this because we broke up a year ago. And he's like completely disillusioned by this. He's like heartbroken. He doesn't really know what's happening. Cut to the next scene. He goes to the Daily Bugle to sell pictures, and J. Jonah Jameson is like, "What's wrong with you? You already come here today and sold me pictures today. And like, get out of here, Parker. You're wasting my time." And so there's like more memory problems happening. That night, he's out on patrol. He's swinging around the city and he sees another Spider Man swinging around. He chases him. They fight. And yes, it is Spider Man, but he's different. He's in like a darker suit, not like a black suit Venom thing, but he fights dirty. He fights mean. He just has like a mean kind of aura about him. And as they fight, he's like taunting him, and basically he taunts him with information about how the Jackal is going to get him, and like the Jackal is going to find everybody and that he loves and murder them and all that. Okay, then he escapes. I'm gonna keep going. I got a little bit more. Yeah, you're interested, huh?
I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm here for this pitch. I like it. I'm intrigued, man.
More memory problems. He remembers Aunt May. And he's like, I can't believe I forgot about Aunt May. I have to find her. The Jackal's going to be looking for her or this other Spider Man. And so he goes to find her, but he finds out that she actually died also a year ago. He finds evidence at the grave. I didn't have time to think it through, but maybe like this leads him to believe that the Jackal is the one who killed Aunt May. He fights the other Spider Man again. And this time he gets the upper hand on him. He unmasks him, and it's him. It's also Anton Yelchin. They're both Peter Parker. They both look exactly identical. And basically, like where I'm leading here is this is the Scarlet Spider story,
The Ben
the Ben
Riley.
Riley story.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Let's
So
go.
the Jackal clones Peter Parker. And what I'm leading up to is that basically at the finale of the movie, we find out that he is Ben Riley, cloned from the original Peter Parker, as is this other Spider-Man who is Kane Parker, who I think what they call him, and cloned by the Jackal. The Jackal actually did kill Peter Parker 1 year ago and his loved ones. And now he's like the last remnant of like any sort of existing Peter Parker. And we can take it from there. Who knows? But that's my kind of overall pitch that I came up with today.
I love this. I love this, Mike. This is so good. And it fits in the continuity of the reboot as well.
Exactly.
It's really, really good. Oh, man. Honestly, where were you in 2012, man? Like, you should have been just sending spec scripts to Sony nonstop, just telling them, I got this incredible idea for your reboot, people. Listen to me, because that's the biggest problem with this movie in my mind is why did they think they needed to go through Uncle Ben and all the origin stuff again?
I know.
I was thinking about it today, Mike. This is the fourth Spider-Man movie canonically. We've seen Uncle Ben die 3 times now. He gets killed again in Spider-Man 3 in the flashbacks by like, here's what really happened to Uncle Ben.
Right.
So it's one 3 and now this reboot, enough of killing Uncle Ben. The poor guy has died on screen. Enough. Like, why do we have to keep coming back to this? Well, we get it.
Once again, some unnamed Joe Chill just ends up killing him, and just Joe Chill, as you recall, is
It's
my name for anybody who kills a superhero relative.
exactly. Yeah, I love your pitch, Mike. If I was a Sony executive, I would have greenlit that right away.
We mentioned Scarlet Spider for anybody who doesn't know. That's the red suit with like the blue hoodie over it with the sleeves cut off. You know, if you've seen that Spider Man before, that is Ben Riley, the one who is the clone of Peter Parker. And also, we've got Spider Man Noir going on right now. That's the name of Spider Man Noir. It's Ben Riley as well.
Yeah, Jackal is kind of underrated, honestly, in the Rogues Gallery. Really interesting character, and I love your pitch. I'm going way more basic, and I'm just going with imagine the Spider-Verse movie, except no actual multiverse stuff.
Okay.
Miles Morales. And Miles Morales is played by the fan casting. People wanted to see it. It never really happened entirely. We'll get to it in a future season. Donald Glover. Donald Glover as Miles Morales in a totally new, fresh setup. You can really even follow the non-multiversal plot line and have Uncle Aaron be the Prowler and played by Sterling K. Brown.
Ooh, that's really good.
Imagine that, dude. You got Donald Glover as a new, fresh, different, interesting Spider-Man. You got Sterling K. Brown as Uncle Aaron, who he's super close with, doesn't realize is actually supervillain. The Spider-Verse movies have a really good structure to make an awesome Spider-Man movie. If they had just kind of gone with that story arc, it would have been amazing, and it would have felt fresh and different and totally new. I think that's such a missed opportunity in hindsight. He wanted to do it. The fans wanted Donald Glover to do it. I love Donald Glover. I think he's like one of the most interesting and unique talents all around. His music, all of his stuff. He's just been a favorite of mine since the Community days. I really think that could have been an awesome way to reintroduce everything, but change it up enough that it really felt fresh and different from what had come before. That leads us into our Tale of the Cape, Mike. The Amazing Spider-Man was released on July 3rd, 2012 here in the United States. It's interesting because it had a budget of about 230 million and it made 758.7 million dollars worldwide, the seventh highest grossing film of 2012, and it broke the Tuesday record with 35 million opening day because it was released on 4th of July weekend around the holidays, so kind of came out on a weird day of the week, but did really well. I mean, this movie was like successful. It was a little less successful than the three previous Spider-Man films. $758 million is still pretty freaking good. I think any studio that releases a movie would be happy to have that figure. So the appetite for it was there, but given what ended up happening, it clearly wasn't entirely successful creatively. So they tapped into the new director for the Spider-Man films, Mark Webb. Now, Mark Webb at that time had only directed one feature film, 500 Days of Summer. I've only seen that movie once, Mike.
Me too.
I loved it. I feel very seen by that character who's extremely into music, extremely romantic and naive in some ways. I think actually it maybe struck chord a little too close to home for me at the time, but I thought it was excellent. I really enjoyed 500 Days of Summer, and I can totally see why they would want to go with him for this. I don't think that Mark Webb did a great job with this film, and I think there's a couple reasons why. The first part is the constraints of the script. Let's backtrack a little bit. We'll talk about the writing. James Vanderbilt was brought on. He wrote a bunch of drafts for Sam Raimi. He didn't like them. They parted ways and they said, Vanderbilt, you're still our guy. Now, James Vanderbilt has written some really, really awesome movies. The top of the list to me, Mike, is Zodiac by David Fincher.
Oh
That
wow. Okay.
is an incredible film.
Yeah, it
And that
really
is
is.
an incredible script. Good job, Sony. You got a really good writer. I mean, he really nailed it with that one. So I can see why they want to go with him. He's got a bunch of other credits that are really successful, but not entirely his fault. That being said, it was ill conceived, as we've discussed already. They weren't entirely happy with it, so they brought in Alvin Sargent. Alvin Sargent was the co writer on Spider Man 2, Spider Man 3. He clearly had a good idea around this character. I can see why they went back to him. This is his final credit before he passed away as well. Academy Award winning screenwriter. We have praised the Spider Man 2 script, one of the best in superhero cinema history, I would say. You can see where they're going. Good idea. The third person credited in the script, Steve Kloves. Steve Kloves is the writer of all of the Harry Potter films. I think there's one that he didn't write, but these are good movies. They're successful. He's good at integrating IP and writing to well known characters,
Well,
adapting material.
I was about to say he didn't write those movies; he was adapting them from previous source materials.
That's true, but what are we doing here, right? You're like, it's not quite there. Let's bring in Clovis. He's done this with Harry Potter. We get it. I think it's a smart choice. Again, I can see the studio's mindset here with all of these choices. It just doesn't add up to the sum of its parts. That's really what it comes down to. The big thing as it relates to Mark Webb, he's trying to do something different. Why did they shoot this movie at night all the time, Mike? Why is Spider-Man swinging around at night in a dark colored suit, way darker than the other one? And I'm watching this movie and I'm just trying to squint and figure out what's going on, especially the scenes where it's Peter Parker, not in the costume, fighting people. And I literally can kind of barely make out what's happening in the frame. Like, ostensibly, Spider-Man does a lot of his crime fighting at night. That's when superheroes are needed on the streets, right? What are we doing here, dude? This is a bright colored costume. Sam Raimi had the visual palette set. I understand that you're trying to distinguish yourself from the previous films. Why are we setting this entire movie basically at night? I just don't get it.
No, it's got a lot of visual problems. Cinematography and costuming are just the tip of the iceberg here. I'm sure we'll talk about how weird the lizard looks, his face and everything. It's I think setting it at night does kind of help to hide a lot of those problems for CG. Movies like Jurassic Park, they like to, because the CG wasn't really fully there yet, they try to do stuff at night a lot of times. So it's a good way to hide bad CG. But at this point in 2012, like we're just getting better and compounding on all the iterations of Spider-Man that came before. So he should look good at night and into the day. Like there's no reason to try and hide him at night.
Totally agree. Some of that has to do, I agree, with the cinematography. John Schwartzman, no shots at John Schwartzman. They used the Red Epic cameras. This was the first film that was ever shot on the Red Epic camera.
I don't know about those. Tell me.
This was almost like a borderline commercial camera that you could buy. It was very high end commercial, but it's not like film. It's not shot on an actual film camera. We talked about the last time they dropped a VistaVision camera along the streets of Manhattan
Oh yeah.
for Spider-Man 2. This is not a VistaVision camera. I get that we're switching to digital. This is that time,
Yeah.
but
Unfortunately.
it didn't work. And the other problem here is this is a post Avatar world, so there everyone says see in 3D. Now, initially, the idea was some movies are shot on film and then turned into 3D. Some movies were shot specifically for 3D. At the very last minute, they decided we're going to do a 3D camera, and so certain shots, like when the cars are falling off the bridge and coming straight at the camera and then catching on the spider line, right? You can see the little cinematography tricks that were supposed to look super cool in 3D. None of that stuff has aged very well, Mike. People were setting up their shots to be like, oh, it's going to be in 3D, so we got to shoot it this way or that way. And in the end, instead of making a cool creative decision, you're just trying to pull off a stunt that'll look cool with people with glasses on. 15 years later, we're watching this movie at home and we're like, that is weird. What's up with that shot? Why is this coming at the lens like that? You know what I mean? Like,
James Cameron makes $1 billion with one movie, and the entire industry thinks, "Oh, this is how every movie's going to be going forward. Everybody's going to have 3D TVs in their own home." Not the case.
it's exactly right. So many fingerprints of studios, maximize profit, do all this. It's rough, man. The other part I gotta say, James Horner's score, dude. This is so anonymous. It's like nothing. I couldn't tell you what it was. There's one scene where I felt a rousing emotion from the music, and that's when he escapes the police, and it's kind of like got the full horns blaring. But in general, it's this very bright, very cinematic, feel good kind of thing. And for a movie that's almost entirely takes place at night and has this really dark color palette, the score is like, what are we doing here? Now I know they replaced him with Hans Zimmer in the sequel, so clearly the producers felt the same way. It's just very anonymous and very boring relative to Danny Elfman's just incredibly expressive. Even Spider-Man 3, we criticized that score, but like it's not subtle. You know,
Right.
they're trying to go for it. This is just like wallpaper score. Like I really didn't
That's a
feel
great
anything
term
with it.
for it.
Yeah.
I think we've talked a little bit about how directors will just use like canned scores, just like sampling scores to be like, oh, I want to have an action, like a rousing score here. This entire score sounds like a canned score. It sounds like something that they would use as a template until someone more talented like Hans Zimmer or Danny Elfman come in to actually compose something that sticks in your head, that is an earworm, that you can hum along to, that you can sing in the shower. Like that's why guys like Hans Zimmer and Danny Elfman are so good, is because they actually write memorable themes. And that is not happening at all in here. There is no memorable theme in this score.
Amen. You just said it. Now let's talk about the cast. So Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I think they nailed it. Anton Yelton is a really good call out. I really liked him. I recommended Thoroughbreds in our previous season,
Oh yeah.
which is his final screen role, and he is amazing in that film. I think he would have been so good. That being said, in terms of purely what I imagine Peter Parker looking like, I think it's Garfield is number one for me. Of all the three Spider-Mans, I think he looks, in my mind's eye, the most like Peter Parker. And I also think that for all the issues we've talked about, it's not his fault. He, he this is the
The Good
Goodwill
Will
Hunting.
Hunting.
The Goodwill Hunting. Fans of our show will know this. It's not your fault, Andrew Garfield. In fact, they kind of actually bring it back to his character in Spider-Man No Way Home because it's not his fault. He's a sad sack Peter Parker in that movie. He's just totally beat down and just a bummer. And it's just like, my particular franchise didn't work in the multiverse.
But he's funny about it in that role. Like he's humorous within that role, yeah.
He is. And he does a great job in that film too. None of the blame can fall to Andrew Garfield himself. What are your thoughts?
I like him in No Way Home a lot. I actually think he's the best part of that movie. But in this particular instance, maybe it's just because he's so young. I think he's like 23 and he's still kind of getting his acting chops under him a little bit. He's not quite there in the Peter Parker role. I agree it's not his fault because the Peter Parker role is written to be very quiet for some reason. He doesn't have a lot to say as Peter Parker. He has a lot to say as Spider Man. He's quipping all over the place. He's making jokes. He's cracking wise when he puts the mask on. But when he's Peter Parker, he's just kind of not making eye contact, looking down and around. He's also, for what's supposed to be a nerdy teenager, he's very cool looking. He has extremely cool hair. He has a skateboard. He's got his thumbs sticking out through the cut thumb holes in his sweater. He does not look like a quiet, nerdy science kid that gets bit by a spider, man. He's just, they tried to make him cool for this iteration of the movie, and it's just kind of, It's fine, I guess. It's again, it's not his fault, but no, this is not the best version of Peter Parker, and it's not until No Way Home that he actually becomes like a great version of that character.
I don't disagree with anything you said. I think Peter Parker in this film is just super poorly conceived. I hate that he's just wearing this green jacket with a hoodie. I'm a big fan of jackets with hoodies in real life. Along with my 80s Charles Xavier outfit, I go with that look a lot too. I do like that part, but like that's not what Peter Parker looks like in my mind. And I think you just nailed it. It's like, who is this kid? Is he a crazy nerd genius to the point that he can invent all kinds of stuff? And Uncle Ben's like, I haven't been able to teach you since you were 10 years old, you're so genius? Or is he this like aloof skater kid that just wants to be left alone and is quiet and introverted? Like, that's not the character. They try to mash all these things together and it just doesn't work. So again, I blame that on the writing. I think he looks so much like Peter Parker. I really enjoyed it.
Apparently, he was extremely excited to be cast as Spider-Man, though, and he said that he like broke down crying the first time he put the suit on because he was just like, "I finally achieved my dream of being Spider-Man." He wanted to be Spider-Man for a really long time, and during breaks, he would go around New York in the Spider-Man suit and just like play pickup basketball with people playing on the street. It's like, stuff like that that just makes me just love the guy. Like Andrew Garfield just seems like such a great dude in general.
Absolutely. Andrew Garfield, we love you, man. It's not your
Come
fault.
on the show. We want to talk to you about it.
Please, please, we'd love to hear from you. There's no MJ in this film, Mike, and I think for Spider-Man fans, I think the fact they went with Gwen Stacy instead of Mary Jane was a cool and interesting choice. At the same time, anyone who's ever read a Spider-Man comic book knows how this ends.
Exactly.
So the entire time you're really worried about her and you're feeling like this isn't the one. This is an itinerant love in between your main love. You're kind of carrying that knowledge into the film itself. With that being said, Emma Stone completely acquits herself. Mike, I'm going to say something bold. I actually think I mean it. I've done a little soul searching on my hyperbolic claim, which, as listeners know, I'm prone to.
Captain Hyperbole. Yep.
I think Emma Stone might be our most talented actress under the age of 40. Emma Stone is incredible to me. She is so funny when she does comedy. She's so good when she does drama. She can do things in between. She plays roles with extreme nuance and complexity. Her career choices have been bold and not at all kind of following this typical script. She did go for the franchise kind of movie with this. It didn't work out. And instead, she's making weird ass movies with Yorgos. I know you're not a big Yorgos guy. I
Nah,
really
fuck him.
like him. You and I will, maybe we'll do a little sub pod on the Yorgos movies at some point, but I love his films. I think he is such a weird genius, and I think Emma Stone is clearly one of his muses. I hate Kinds of Kindness. I think that is a terrible movie, but Begonia, Poor Things, these are outstanding movies. And she was up for an Oscar or perhaps nominated for The Favorite. She's had an incredible career with Yorgos. I love all those movies, except for Kinds of Kindness. It's terrible. Besides that, all this is to say, I think Emma Stone has put together an incredibly interesting, unexpected, eclectic career. She can do so many different things. She's not given a ton to do in this movie, but I think, Mike, I'd love to talk to you about this. By far, the best part of this movie is her chemistry with Andrew Garfield. They met and started dating, and you feel that chemistry in this film. All of their scenes together crackle with that actual, real, organic chemistry. This is kind of a thing. Toby and Kiki got together. Now Emma and Andrew got together. Zendaya and Tom Holland are
Yeah,
now
true.
married.
Right.
It's kind of crazy how much Spider-Man's and MJ's or Gwen Stacy's get together. There's just something about that in real life. So this plays on screen, but I think, quite frankly, more than any other couple, these two have amazing chemistry.
It is really good chemistry. They're kind of trying not to touch each other, because they're so into each other, but it's not appropriate kind of thing is what's happening. And it does really feel like what's happening offset or off camera is translating here. So sad it didn't work out between those two. That would have been a great power couple.
Yeah, I genuinely remember when they broke up, I was like a little bummed on that. That being said, Emma Stone married a writer for Saturday Night Live. Come on, man. She got with a Saturday Night Live guy. Like, Emma Stone's the best.
It worked out the way it was supposed to.
Absolutely. Welcome on our podcast anytime, Emma Stone.
Let's bring both of them out right now. Here they are.
Next up is Dr. Kurt Connors, the lizard.
I'm excited to hear you pronounce his name.
Here's what's interesting, Mike, is you look at this man's name. First name, Rhys, last name, Ifans. So it looks like Hives, Ifans. However,
Is that your final answer?
it is not, because this man is Welsh and it's simply pronounced Rhys Evans. It's not as hard as the spelling would lead you to believe. I think he does I'm not going to say like a great job as Kurt Connors, but like it's a solid performance. Should we get into the lizard here? Let's get into it.
It's fine. It's again, it's not his fault kind of thing. And there's a version of this movie that exists somewhere in the multiverse where he's awesome in this role, or maybe he has more time to prepare. They're not trying to rush to get this movie out because of copyright rules. Yeah, I mean, let's get into the lizard. What do you got for me?
It's like one of the ugliest looking characters I think in
Oh
the
my
history of
god.
cinema. He looks so bad. So to me, what's insane about this, Mike, is like all you have to do is take the most basic lizard. I don't even know the species. Just think of a lizard in your mind, put a lab coat on that lizard.
Yeah, it's a Komodo dragon in a lab coat.
There you go. And they're like, no, we're not going to give him a snout. Now, there is a specific reason for this. He wanted to do the motion capture himself. He was like, I want to go around and do this in motion capture. You're not going to hire someone else. I'm going to do my own stuff. It'll just be motion capture. Now, I'm not saying that the motion capture itself was bad, but the issue here is that the human face, right? We wrinkle our nose, we have eyes and expressions, things like that, right? So when you do that, you can't really put a snout on that, right? Like the mouth and all that.
I'm going to disagree because at the same time, we're seeing Weta Digital record Benedict Cumberbatch doing motion capture for The Desolation of Smog, the Hobbit movie. If you've seen the behind the scenes
Fair.
footage of that,
Yes.
he is
Oh,
going
yeah.
full fucking ham in that role. And they somehow managed to translate it to a lizard like creature with a giant snout. I don't want to hear that you can't do fucking motion capture when you have a snouted creature.
You're totally right. The technology was there. And instead, he looks like a Goomba from the Super Mario
Oh
movie
my god, he
in
does.
1993. He looks exactly like the Goombas,
He
which is
really
one of the
does.
most infamous film looks of all time. I cannot believe that anyone signed off on this being like, that's fine. Let's go with it. Again, if they had had time, some executive would have been like, we absolutely cannot release a movie with this character looking like this. But they just didn't have time.
They gave him his lab coat at one point too, and I was like, "Oh, he actually looks better now. He's not just like a naked, stupid lizard anymore. He looks like the character." And then he immediately rips it off, and I was like, "Oh, that's disappointing. He doesn't look like him anymore. He looks like a stupid, naked Goomba."
Yeah, it's multiple scenes actually. It's when he comes out of the sewers in school, he loses his lab coat coming out of the sewers, and then when he gets shot up by the cops, he just
Yes.
tears it off of him. There's two different scenes where it's like we're going for the right look, and then they're like, no, let's get rid of the look, and now he's like an ugly dinosaur. It's so bad. I hate the look of the lizard so much. You know who I don't hate though? Captain George Stacy, as played by Dennis Leary. Gwen Stacy's dad. This all worked for me. Really like him in this film. I like the idea that Spider-Man is dating the daughter of the police captain, who's like, I'm not for vigilantism. It really was good. I thought Dennis Leary did an excellent job, acquitted himself better than really anyone else in this film.
So apparently, Dennis Leary is good friends with Jeff Garlin from Curb Your Enthusiasm, and Jeff Garlin is a huge Spider-Man fan. And he told him there's a story that he told him that he was up for the role of Captain Stacy, and Jeff Garlin was like, "Oh, well, you're absolutely going to get it." And he was like, "How do you know that to be sure?" So matter of factly, and he's like, "Because you look exactly like Captain Stacy does in the comics." He's like, "There's no doubt in my mind you're gonna get this role. Like you look just like him."
That's funny. I didn't really know what he looked like in the comics. Honestly, I never really registered that.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. You just get some middle-aged white guy with blonde hair to be him, and you could put anybody in that role. But sure, he looks like him enough to be cast in this role.
And then lastly, we got to talk about Uncle Ben and Aunt May. So we kind of touched on Sally Field as Aunt May. Listen, Sally Field, national treasure, great actress, been in countless classic films. She doesn't look the least bit like Aunt May in the comics. That was the whole thing with Rosemary Harris. She looks just like the comic book version of Aunt May. I'm not saying, because they go a very different route with the MCU Aunt May. So I'm not saying you have to adhere to that entirely. I'm just saying that, as she herself said, her character is so wasted in this movie, Mike. It's so wasted.
I mean, she's not that far removed from Rosemary Harris. She's like 10 years younger in this role than Rosemary was in Spider-Man 2.
It's not the age thing to me, it's the face shape. Aunt May has a very angular, triangular face.
Yeah, with gray hair and a bun and all that. Yeah, for
Sally
sure.
Field has a round face and her hair is long. It's not silver. She doesn't look like the comic accurate version.
I mean, listen, I'm not an Aunt May purist. I'm not here, not out here trying to be like, I need my Aunt Mays to be only portrayed by geriatric women of a certain age. Come on, man. It's Sally Field. She's awesome. Who cares what she looks like to that point when we get to, come on, Marissa Tomei as Aunt May? She's great in that role too. She looks nothing like Aunt May in the comics, but she's great. And she's great for that version of Spider-Man as being like a younger 15-year-old young kid trying to break into the superhero world. And for what we're doing here for another version of the reboot story, let's get a seasoned actress like Sally Field. It doesn't matter what she looks like. She's great in the role. She's fine.
I mean, I see your point. I'm not a purist. Character's underwritten, barely there in the movie. She doesn't have any of the Aunt May qualities.
He abandons her for 90% of the movie. Like after Uncle Ben dies, he's basically coming home in the middle of the night multiple times and she's chastising him for not being there. And then he just basically does it again and again and again. And so she's reduced to just being the worrying guardian, waiting at home for her teenage adopted son to come home. And that's all she has to do.
When she says secrets have a cost, they're never free, not now, not ever.
Oh, that's a great line.
Great line. I wanted a couple more scenes of this. I wanted a little more Aunt May being the new maternal figure to guide him. I didn't get it. It was disappointing. That being said, I thought Martin Sheen did a really good job as Uncle Ben.
Yeah, he was great.
He actually really got the assignment. I think the way that they wrote his character was really good. I thought there was like several times where he trapped Peter into this logic puzzle that only old wise people can do. Like when he's like, let's be honest, like you want a revenge on Flash, right? Yeah. So that's what this is really all about.
Right.
And then you trap the person, like the kid, into this like, don't BS me here.
He's confronting him with his own feelings, like, he's making him
That's
face what
exactly
he's
right.
actually feeling. Yeah. I really appreciated the line where after Peter had forgotten to pick up Aunt May and he's visibly upset about it, he does a great job about being like, "I'm so mad at you, but you owe your aunt an apology." And his line is basically like, "Be a man and get in there." And I was just like,
Yeah,
"Oh, this is great. This is exactly what Peter needs in this moment right now."
exactly. Yeah, Martin Sheen does a really good job here. Totally quits himself. So, all right. Well, that was an extended Tale of the Cape. Now let's get into our categories. Starting with best action scene, Mike. Why does it take so long to get into the action? Here's the problem. My single biggest problem of this movie. The origin story issue is part of it because it's like we know how he starts. We should just pick up, right? If we're doing a reboot, just pick up he's Spider-Man. It's fine. That was the single best lesson the MCU learned.
Exactly.
Literally dismiss it with a single line of dialogue and we're good. But no one cares about Peter Parker's parents. No one. I have been a Spider-Man fan my entire life. I have never been like, what was the story with him becoming an orphan? Why did they leave him behind? What's going on there? Like, it's all of this stuff that's so clearly shoehorned in there to set up this overarching mystery that's supposed to set up the whole Spider-Man universe. Oh, your dad was this secret guy. They don't answer any of these questions. They leave it all ambiguous.
They do,
I
yeah.
just hated the first 45 minutes of this movie. It's like, let's get this thing going. We understand it all. Can we please start the movie?
Not even the movie cares about this story. Like they spent, like you said, they spent a little bit of
Exactly.
time setting up his parents, but the whole point of that is so that he has a reason to talk to Dr. Connors and be like, "Oh,
Exactly.
I'm Ben Parker's son, or I'm what's his
Richard.
name? Richard Parker's son. Thank you." He's like, "I'm Richard Parker's son." Now we have a reason for us to have this conversation about genetics and XYZ. And like once that starts, they completely forget about why his parents were even introduced in the movie in the first place. Like you said, there's no payoff to his dad being this overly secretive person. We know nothing about his mom, despite them introducing her at the beginning of the movie. There was zero information about her at all. So the movie basically forgets all about that. Once the plot gets going, there's no reason for it. Like you said, we could just have Peter Parker already kind of being Spider-Man and figuring things out, and then because they gave a reason for it. He loves science. That's why he's there. That's why he's at Osborn. Or maybe he is stalking Gwen Stacy, and so he follows her there, like they allude to. There's many other reasons that are kind of inherently built into the movie that could give him the purpose of getting bit by the spider without his parents being involved. We don't need any of that.
It's so frustrating and it's so slow and boring to finally get to our first action scene, which is the subway fight. Now, shortly after getting his powers, Peter's on the subway. I got a lot of questions about the people and their behavior on the subway.
Yeah, who puts a beer on a head?
Why would you do that? And then he gets up and like accidentally talks to the girl and he's like, get your hands off. We're like, shouldn't the girl have been like, that's a dick move to put a beer on a guy's head when he's like, character logic aside, this is pretty fun. Apparently, Mark Webb kind of wanted to influence the idea of like physical comedy, a la Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. He's sticking to everything and pulling people's shirts off and pulling the posts off and accidentally flipping around and knocking dudes out. Now, you could say it's a little clumsy and a little like convenient for him to just suddenly be this accidental martial arts badass in the subway, but it was all right. I thought it was okay.
His hand is stuck to the pole, but he keeps moving up and down the pole and his hand keeps moving with it. I'm like, which is it? Is his hand stuck in this one spot or is he able to slide around? I didn't understand that.
This is another issue I have with this movie. They spend so much time on how he's sticking to everything. He's sticking to the keyboard so hard he pulls the keys off.
Right.
But then, like, how does he release from these things? Because he can, at some point, he can do it. So then now I'm thinking about the logic of like, when does he stick to things and when does he not? It just introduces this idea of there's some rules around sticking to things, and we should just be moving past this instead of like continuously making this a joke. Next action scene, street justice. So he's become Spider-Man, Uncle Ben is dead, and now he's just going out on the streets trying to find the guy that did it. I will say this, Mike, I did like that his whole motivation for becoming Spider-Man is to track down this specific guy that had killed Uncle Ben. And so he almost like stumbles backwards into being like a superhero, a vigilante. I thought that was actually like really smart. But as we mentioned before, I couldn't tell what is happening in this scene. He goes up and then he's on the roof, but then there's more roofs, and so he can keep going up even further. It just didn't make any sense, and I can't really make it out in dark.
Like it's shantytown in Brazil, and there's just buildings stacked on top of each other.
Exactly. Exactly. I clocked it, Mike. He does not put on the Spider-Man suit until 55 minutes into this movie. 55 minutes to become Spider-Man in a movie. It's one thing if this is the very first Spider-Man movie and we're doing the Jaws thing, we're going to make you wait for it, wait to see the Spider-Man. We've seen Spider-Man in 3 movies. We know what Spider-Man looks like. Get the dude in the suit immediately. What are we doing?
Yeah, there's no incredible reveal for like, look how cool this suit is. Like, no, this suit is actually not that cool. We'll talk about it in costuming, I assume, here in a minute, but it's definitely not worth the final reveal.
Next action scene, the spider carjack scene. I like this scene. This was another one that I actually kind of enjoyed. He's the guy is breaking in the car. Spider Man's already in the back seat. He's like has to surprise him to tell him. I thought the joke of my weakness, small knives. I actually thought that was probably the funniest joke in the whole movie. All of his little quips feel very Spider Man ish in this. I think Paul Feig, who was the director of Bridesmaids, writer director of Bridesmaids, and a number of other comedies, apparently kind of had some contributions to this. I think that's probably this scene where we get it the most. Kind of enjoyed it. Again, a lot of logic questions here with the cops. He actually says, Captain Stacy actually says, 38 of New York's finest can't bring him in. Like they had 38 cops trying to get
Yeah.
Spider-Man for stopping a carjacking. Okay,
Sure.
sure. Next one is the Williamsburg Bridge Rescue. The lizard is rampaging all over the bridge, swatting the cars. I do like how the lizard, his claws are terrifying, right? Like his hands are very scary. His face is dumb. His hands really scare me. So I kind of liked when he's going after the executive from Oscorp, reaching through both
Mm.
windows.
Very King Kong inspired there, the giant hand reaching through the window to grab her, I thought.
Well said. I also really like the scene with the kid. They actually brought kids into this where it's like a small child is in danger. He's like takes off his mask. He's trying to humanize himself to a small child who would be scared. I thought that was really good stuff. It's a pretty good scene for me.
Okay. It was fine.
Sewer fight. Any thoughts on the sewer fight?
This is probably my favorite action scene in the movie. I think I really liked how, and this is thinking back on it now that you mention it, this is probably a 3D camera thing that they were doing where he shoots all the webs down the tunnels. So you've got webs pointing in multiple directions, including at the screen. And then he sees the vibration of the web. So he's trying to figure out which way the lizard's coming from, and then all the lizards come in and they start crawling in one particular direction. So he's like, oh, he's coming from that way. And then surprise, he's actually there. It's a nice little fake out moment that happens. And him not having any control as he's swimming through the water currents. It's like he's trying to fight against it, but it is really just the current is taking him away and just leading him in whatever way it sees fit. He's pretty powerless in that moment, but still manages to make it away. It's pretty harrowing, I thought. So the way that it was conceptualized, like I thought that this was the best action scene in the movie.
Next action scene, library brawl. This is my favorite, Mike. I just think this is the one action scene that takes place during the day. The characters are, you can see them clear. I really like how he's using his web to just web him up, basically put him in a cocoon. And then he's like, I'm about to throw you out the window. And she's like, what? And he just throws her out the window. And
Yeah,
I felt like this one to me was like the one action scene I would put on par with anything from the Sam Raimi movies. I'm not going to say this is like one of the best Spider-Man action scenes of all time, but like I said, this is the one that acquitted it for me. I really enjoyed this one. This also has the Stan Lee cameo,
there it is.
and I loved it. I thought this was one of the better Stan Lee cameos, kind of overall. You get it from his perspective. It's classical music playing. He's jamming out. You just see the fight in the background without any of the noise of them smashing each other up. I thought this was a very clever cameo, and just I loved it. I thought it was great.
My favorite part about this was that he's at the forefront of the frame, and as he's cleaning the desk or whatever, there's a desk that's about to hit him, and you can tell that Spider-Man has like webbed it to pull it backwards away from the frame from the camera. It's really clever, I thought. It's probably a 3D trick now that I'm talking about it, but yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, such a clever shot. I really like that scene. And then we have the climax, the crane. I hated it. I thought it was
It's
dumb. Like
really
this,
dumb.
I mean, I get doing a callback to the kid that you saved, but we got to get all the cranes in order. Spider Man's hurt. What?
What would Spider-Man do in a city full of tall buildings without cranes?
They do try to kind of show that he's still learning in this movie, which I appreciated. Like, he's not an expert web slinger. I also will say this. I did think that Tobey Maguire's moves, or the way that they designed his actual motions, felt way more comic accurate than the Toby ones, right? Where they have the slow mo shots and he's doing like comic iconic one leg up. He
Poses
has
and all that.
the
Yeah.
pose. I actually really thought that was great. They did that a handful of times. It's fan service, but it does look really cool. So I appreciated that part. But if your leg is busted on that building, swinging across a bunch of cranes and then fighting the lizard, you're still going to have that same, that same issue. And yet when he arrives on top of Oscorp, he's totally fine.
He's fine.
It's no big deal. The final lizard fight, it's fine. It's a ticking clock, which again, pretty cliche.
We don't know the time until he gets there. There's no tension because we have no idea. We have no frame of reference.
You got a ticking clock. You also have the green gas. We've already seen green gas in like how many movies at this point? Superhero films. We're gonna just spray the city with green gas.
There
Cool.
it is again.
Joker tried that. Everybody's tried this.
Magneto.
Like Magneto, like we're gonna turn everybody into. Okay, we're going back to that. Well, it
Yep.
just all felt pretty cliched at the end. As I said, I'm going with library brawl. You're going with sewer fight. It sounds like.
I am. I just wanted to add I absolutely hated at the end after the battle with the lizard. He's like falling off the building and Captain Stacy grabs him, or no, who was it? Dr. Connors
The
grabs
lizard,
him.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, you don't need to save Spider-Man from falling off a building. He's goddamn Spider-Man, Mark. Like he can cling to a side of a building by himself. There's no tension in
It's
this
true.
moment here either.
Well, I think the thing that they wanted to do was show off. He used his right hand, Mike. He used his
Boo.
healed hand to save Spider-Man. Let's talk about the best non-action scene. As I said, I kind of hate everything until he gets his powers, so we're just going to skip ahead. Unless you have something.
No, keep going.
What did you think about the basketball scene? I kind of liked it, but I felt like it was a lesser version of the Hall fight with Flash Thompson. You've got him and Flash. Actually, we haven't talked Flash. Let's talk Flash real briefly.
Okay.
The thing about him in the original Spider-Man is that he's just a galoot, right? He's just a dumb, stupid, he's mean, but he's just a typical bully. This
Right.
guy seems cruel. Like, he seems actually cruel. There's something cruel about him, and I don't know if that's my own biases against this, like, short-haired blonde actor that played him. His last name is extremely hard to pronounce, so I'm respect to you, but I'm not going to try to say it. Flash is so mean in this movie, Mike. He is so mean. I did kind of like that he's, like, mocking him in this, but I don't know. It was an okay scene to me. It was all right.
He's mean, and then after he finds out his Uncle Ben dies, all of a sudden he's very cool to him. So maybe he does have some redeeming qualities to him, perhaps, but
This was what was so weird to me, right? Like, if you're going to go full cruel Flash, then why are we kind of redemption arc for Flash throughout the rest of the movie later. And at the end, he's like, "Oh, what's up, Parker?" And they're like kind of friends now. Like, it just was very confusing. I did enjoy him mocking this, and I did think it was really cool the way he dunked the basketball in Spider-Man style with the like one leg out, just going for it. I like the editing there too with the girl blowing the bubble. So I kind of like this scene. That's why I'm throwing it in here. But
But Mark, you have to agree as a basketball fan, he traveled.
take a dribble, Parker.
The worst traveling I've ever seen. And he takes like 10 steps. There's no attempt whatsoever for him to dribble. And if he's going in the Spider Man suit to go play pickup basketball with people around New York during his downtime, he should know better.
Fair enough. I'm just going to jump straight ahead to my own personal favorite, and then I'll let you go. It's the Stacy family dinner. To me, this is the best non action scene. I really like the back and forth between Peter and Captain Stacy. They're actually really hashing out the pros and cons of vigilante justice. I like that a lot. I actually kind of wish more superhero films did this, right? Where it's like, I stopped the carjacker. Like, why aren't the cops stopping the carjacker? And he's like, because I didn't want to. Because maybe this is like part of a sequence of events
Right.
that the cops are trying to get to the main guy.
Taking down the bigger fish.
Exactly. Like, it actually gave good perspective on the back and forth between vigilantism and the actual police. Now, we can go down a rabbit hole about the cops in general. Specifically, the cop, he stops a carjacker, and the cop, he's like, "I did your job, here you go." And the cop just like fires at
I
him.
did 80% of your job. Yeah.
He just literally shoots at Spider-Man with this guy against the wall, like taped up. You almost shot the guy.
Right.
So again,
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that part because it's dumb. But I did appreciate them trying to kind of go with the issue of vigilantism versus police. It also leads into what I thought, again, one of the best scenes in the film. There's so much stuff in the original trilogy about, I can't tell you that I'm Spider-Man. I have to hide it from you. I have to hide it from everyone. I understand that. It works for those movies. In this one, immediately, I'm Spider-Man. He just tells Gwen,
Right
"Look at
away.
me."
Yeah.
I really did like that. I thought that's how a teenager would act. They would not keep this secret at all. Put it all out there. I like that she's in on it the whole time. I really appreciated that. I thought this was by far the best stretch of the film, non-action wise.
I will not disagree simply because in my notes here, when I wrote down what is the best non action scene, I wrote none. Everything is boring. So all the non action scenes to me are pretty boring, except for maybe the Uncle Ben stuff, but I didn't call out anything specifically. So yours is the winner.
Oof. All right, let's talk about the costuming now, finally. I hate it. I
I hate it
hate
too.
Spider-Man's. I hate it so much. They intentionally drew inspiration from Winter Olympics athletes and cyclists. They tried to kind of give it this density and
You know what you should have drawn inspiration from? Comic books. This is a comic book hero. We don't need to make everything 100% grounded in real life or have inspiration from something in real life.
we talked about it during the original Spider-Man's. Who's making his costume? This is way too elaborate for Peter Parker.
For sure. It's got like hexagon honeycomb like weaving going on in the thing.
No, I'm going to disagree with you here. This costume is more like what Peter Parker could home make than the previous one, presumably. We don't know. That was in I Got Questions. I don't know how Tobey Maguire made his spider suit. Like, that's a really big question because there's a lot of elaborate stuff going on there. How did he make it? This one, I could kind of see how he made it a little bit. So it's not that. It's that it simply is ugly. It's ugly and weird.
Really ugly.
It's dark. The blues are darker. The
His
reds are
eyes are dark.
darker. His eyes are dark.
Yeah, they don't have the white eyes like every other costume. They decided to go with like a dark
Exactly.
reflective color. And because everything is happening at nighttime, there's no light or color reflecting in his eyes. So his eyes are dark and like thin. It doesn't work.
Yeah, did not like the costume at all. Let's talk about the mechanical web shooters. I'm gonna give a little grace here.
All right.
Now, you were very anti-organic web shooters.
No, that's not what was happening. I was pro a nerdy science kid should be able to figure out how to make web shooters. I'm not against organic web shooters. You were against him being able to be smart enough to make these things, and I think he should be able to make those things.
Well, let's talk about that then. Peter Parker's genius level nerd intellect in this movie, it just is, it's so dumb. It's like beyond.
That is comic accurate. He is smart
I
enough to
understand.
be able to figure out genetic code and things like that as a teenager. He's a boy genius.
I felt that throughout this entire movie, he's doing levels of stuff that is just beyond any level that any human being, much less a 17-year-old, would be able to figure out. I did not like any of it. I thought it was just way over the top how smart he is. So, literally, Mike, he meets Kurt Connors. He goes to his house. He's like, yo, I'm Richard Parker's son. Let's talk about it. He's like, oh, okay. But the one thing we couldn't crack was the algorithm. He's looked at his dad's files for a couple days. He's already cracked the code. He's got
Right.
it figured out. Goes there. He's got a Jarvis level technology. What world are we living in
I know.
where there is a rat simulator that they can be like, we're going to test it on a virtual rat? This is 2012, bro. We're grabbing things out of VR and moving it around.
When did Iron Man come out? 2008?
Now, I think Jarvis is like, that's the thing. They were like, I see your Jarvis and I raise you in this. Not my favorite part about any of this stuff. What are we doing? What world are we living in where there's just computers where we live in an amazing world, Mike. We have AI, we have all kinds of stuff nowadays. No one is grabbing VR things and moving them into a three-dimensional.
That's my most like hated trope about this is that when they can actually pick up something that's VR and like hand it to each other, that's bullshit. I don't even give a
It's
fuck.
so dumb.
Like,
It's so dumb.
but I disagree about him. It's ridiculous that he's smart enough to figure these things out. I think you need to read some more Golden Age Spider-Man comics because he is absolutely smart enough as a character
Okay.
in those comics. Like he is 100% Mr. Science Whiz kid. Absolutely. He can do these things.
I'm going to set it aside and I'm going to give some credit here. I love the Spider-Man webs in this movie. I actually think you touched on it too. The way that they make the web kind of work within the logic of the movie itself is really cool. He tests it, he figures it out, he slowly gets there, and then it's kind of this like vibration that he can feel. The Spidey sense is strong with this particular Spider-Man. There's nothing weird with Tom Holland style where it slowly develops, right? Like
Peter
it's
Tingle.
yeah, it's just working all the time and it feels strong too, right? Like they make a really big point that like these webs can hold people. I thought that was really good. I think these might be the best webs of all the Spider-Man movies. So I
Sure.
will give him credit, even though I just never really bought him as a scientific genius. Yeah, we talked lizard.
Can we talk about the lizard rat?
Let's talk about it.
What the hell, man? If you didn't catch it, there's like a 1.5 second shot of, is it Gwen is in the lab and she sees it, or is it maybe Peter's in the lab and he sees it? And we see that the genetic code or the cross species hybridization that's happening, that they've been testing lizard DNA on rats, is working out. And we see like this gross mutant lizard rat hybrid thing. Oh my god, dude. That thing was disgusting.
Eating another mouse, eating his
Eating another
his other.
mouse.
Yeah, this is an excellent transition into our next category, which is evil scheme. Okay, Mike, I'm going to give you a direct quote from this film right now because this is the evil scheme. he sums it up literally because he finds it on a computer amidst a bunch of blueprints laying out all of the details
I know it's
as
circled,
in like
circled in red ink.
every cliche possible villain evil scheme thing is all in one. Here's what he says. I spent my life as a scientist trying to create a world without weakness, without outcasts. All right, first of all, really? That's how you spend your scientific? Okay.
Sure.
I sought to create a stronger human being, but there is no such thing. Humans are weak, pathetic, feeble minded creatures. Why be human at all when we can be so much more? Faster, stronger, smarter. This is my gift to you.
Scalier.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. He just wanted to sleep with other reptiles. He's a reptile now. He's just trying to turn ladies into reptile ladies so that he can get laid and it's not weird. Because that makes no sense. No scientist has spent their life as a scientist trying to create a world without weakness, without outcasts. Without outcasts? What is an outcast? What does that mean? I understand that he has one arm and that it's been
Yeah.
really hard for him. It's been hard for him. Anyone with a disability, like that's tough. I get that. At the same time, what are we talking about? Humans are pathetic, feeble minded creatures? Really? Are they? At the end of the day, Mike, here's the problem. He's just the Green Goblin 2.0. Scientist at Oscorp. Gains power by experimenting on himself.
Yeah.
Has a split personality and talks to himself.
Yeah, definitely.
Has a disdain for average New Yorkers. And most importantly, he's green. He's just literally Green Goblin 2.0.
Very fair.
It's so bad. I hate this evil scheme.
Yeah, they're just redoing everything from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 1, including the villain, like you said.
Let's talk quickly about secret identities.
He takes his mask off like 7 times in front of people in this movie.
He's always taking his mask off, honestly.
He tells Gwen Stacy, like he shoots her with the web and pulls her towards him. And then literally 2 minutes later, he's pulling his mask off in front of the kid in the burning car. And then I think there's something like immediately after that too. I can't remember, but yeah, he has no regard for his own identity for someone who intentionally wears a mask to protect his loved ones. There's a very specific moment where he realizes he needs to wear a mask so that he can protect those that are close to him, and he has no regard for that very premise that he himself thinks about.
The most egregious one, though, Mike, he sets up a camera to take pictures of him
Oh
fighting
yeah,
the goblin. And he has property of Peter Parker on his camera.
he has a label
Serious?
maker where he wrote that out.
Anytime I've ever seen a label maker on any object, I've been like almost wanting to steal it by principle. You know, just like I'm gonna steal your shit just because you fucking put a label maker on that. Like, fucking nerd.
That was a very nerdy thing for him to do. Yeah.
Terrible. All right, let's talk death toll. Obviously, there's just 2 big deaths, right? You get Uncle Ben, who, as we said, has just been murdered more time than an NPC in a shoot 'em up video game, and Captain Stacy. Sad death. I will give him credit. I really felt that death more so than Uncle Ben. Even I want to talk about collateral deaths.
Yes.
The tower from Oscorp falls on the street. There is an overhead shot of the street below Oscorp while they're fighting. Taxi cabs, presumably pedestrians, all kinds of people. It falls off, and he's so exhausted. I literally expected a brief scene of him shooting the webs to stop that from falling all over everything. And yet, nothing happens. How many people died from the Oscorp tower falling on the street below?
5 to 10, I would say.
5 to 10?
Yeah, 5 to 10. Mm-hmm.
I've got minimum a dozen, and
All right.
and more likely
I'll give you a dozen.
2 dozen. I got 2 dozen, Mike.
Uh,
Okay, it is a spire from a tower, and it falls on the street. That's gonna hit.
in the middle of the night.
Well, no, but again, the establishing shot shows a literal full block of cars, not like a couple cars.
Okay.
It's a full-on traffic jam.
And it is New York, the city that never sleeps. So, all right, yeah, I'll give you 18.
Okay. So we're going with 20. That's the death count then. It's 20.
Well, collateral damage, I had to assume a couple people on the bridge scene as well. You can die from a 15-mile-an-hour fender bender if you're not strapped to your seatbelt. I've heard of
Wow.
things happening like
Interesting.
that. So if you figure a car falling at what physics class taught me is 9.8 meters per second, and Spider-Man is webbing it, and it comes to a screeching halt as it's being held up by a web, like that impact could potentially kill someone. Or maybe Lizard, as he's rampaging through the cars, flipped the car over or something, or crushed one, and the person inside couldn't get out. So I figured at least 2 to 5 people on the bridge got killed in that moment as well.
Let's split the difference. We'll go with 23. 23 deaths in this film.
23 is good.
I like it. Peter Parker problems. All right, Mike.
Here we go again. Joe Chill killing Uncle Ben. Aunt May's constantly mad at him.
Yeah, I mean,
Rightfully so, by the way, Aunt May.
oh yeah. As we said, Spider-Man 3 is more literally Mary Jane problems than this
Right.
one. Maybe not as bad as Spider-Man 3, but what are the issues here? Peter's abandoned by his parents. That's the central issue. I'm sorry, but like, wah, wah, wah. I don't mean to be cruel. Anyone out there that's lost their parents at a young age, I'm not saying that to be like dismissive. I'm just saying canonically, no one cares about his parents. This is just the reality. He was a young kid. He grew up with Aunt May and Uncle Ben. He was fine. He was a well-adjusted kid. Uncle Ben, it's sad the way that all goes down. We'll talk about it more momentarily. I do like the problem of him dating a girl whose dad is the chief of police. That's an interesting problem. I wouldn't say it's good or bad. It's another I got questions. We'll get into it. And then the broken promise. At the end of the movie, Captain Connors dies. He's like, people are going to come after you. Keep going out of it. He never actually promises. He doesn't say anything. He literally doesn't. When I rewatched it, I was like, what does he say? Yes, I
Yeah.
promise. He does not make a promise.
No.
He keeps his mouth shut.
Very tight-lipped in that moment.
He's not actually breaking a promise. Like, he's kind of like that.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Keeping his mouth shut.
Yeah, maybe.
He gets his ass beat a lot in this movie, Mike. He is getting beaten up a lot. Like, not even just by the villains, by Flash, by
Street thugs, yeah.
every time he comes through the front door of the house, he's like hiding his face, like, I got beat up again. He's getting beat up, but like overall, I think this ranks relatively low in Peter Parker problems.
He doesn't have job problems yet. He doesn't
Exactly.
struggle at school. Like
He's killing it at school.
he's doing pretty well from a romantic perspective, as well as a Spider-Man could do,
Yes.
Yeah, this is probably a higher ranking
Yeah.
Peter Parker
Yeah.
on the scale of all the other movies we've seen.
100%. And now it's time for everyone's favorite segment. I've got questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. And I want to have them answered immediately.
Questions. Questions that need answering.
It just raises too many questions.
Too many questions. There's too many questions. There's just too many. Yeah. I'll ask the questions.
Like,
Here we go.
I think we brought up, like, there are so many questions.
I have not dipped into my list, even with the questions I've been asking so far. I've not even touched my list.
Let's just start with something I'm certain that both of us saw. The receptionist at Oscorp is like, is questioning him. Who are you? Why are you here? He's like, I'm an intern. Well, what's your name? And he's like, what's his last name? Like, it's a very Hispanic name.
Yeah, it's like Rodrigo Santos or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Very, clearly not him. And she's like, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, sarcastically.
What?
Yeah.
What? Your job is to literally not let people who shouldn't be there through. And she's like, you're lying to me. I can tell. And then The real guy is violently
off.
dragged out, screaming. What? What's going on here?
My question in that scene was, why does he not have to show any kind of ID to get the badge?
All you gotta do. That's all you gotta do.
Super high tech firm that's probably Fortune top 50, company. You can just let anybody in without showing ID. Okay, sure, why not?
And I think just to follow this up, because it cascades into the next stuff, which is like you're in Oscorp somehow due to the negligence of the security lady at the front, and now you can just follow people around and watch them put in their code and then
Oh,
mimic
God.
their code and then get into anywhere, including the spider thing, which you get in, you listen in, eavesdrop on conversations, and then you go into the actual spider experiment
Yeah.
where you get bit by all these spiders falling on. This is the worst security I've ever seen in any superhero film. Hands down. Hands down. It's terrible.
What I had about this was that, first of all, we have an idiot teenager who sneaks his way into the spider lab, as he talks about, by just watching them plug in their code on the lock, which is an amazing lock, by the way. That's gotta call that out. But I'm sure that this building has video surveillance in every single room that they're watching everything happening, including the high-tech science exhibit that is these weird genetic spiders that they're making, which we don't know why they're making these spiders, by the way. They just are. So there's that. But wouldn't Norman Osborn and the rest of the board and people who are watching the surveillance, so Irfan Khan, don't you think that they would review the video surveillance of, oh, this guy made it into the spider exhibit or the spider experiments, and now a week later there's a guy swinging around town who calls himself Spider-Man? You would think that they would put two to two together. And again, we don't know why they're making these weird genetic spiders, but it's safe to assume that that kid is now Spider-Man, the one who snuck in. So wouldn't they just make a bunch of Spider-Man soldiers to be swinging around town? You have hundreds of these spiders on hand. What else are you using these things for?
I want to talk about this. This is an insane coincidence, Mike. An insane coincidence. Are you ready for this? I'm actually about to blow your mind.
Let's hear it.
Irfan Khan, rest in peace. He passed away in, I think,
Oh, I
2020
didn't know
or
that.
2021. Yeah, the actor. Icon of Bollywood and just was in a ton of movies. In 2012, this man starred in 2 different films in which there's a character named Richard Parker.
What? Oh, Life of Pi.
Not only Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, in The Life of Pi, the tiger is also named Richard Parker. This
Interesting.
man says the name Richard Parker in 2 separate films in 2012. Unbelievable, Mike.
Very
And
strange. Yeah.
what a weird coincidence, right? That there are 2 separate movies in 2012 where Richard Parker is a character and Irfan Khan starred in those films. It's just, I don't even know what to say. Like,
Yeah, very fortuitous, maybe, hopefully.
serendipitous. Like, I have no idea. This is like proof that God exists. Like, it's so strange. Gotta shout that out. All right, my next question, and it relates a little bit to what you were just saying as far as like, can people figure it out? We brought this up before. Everyone at Peter Parker's high school has to know that this guy is Spider-Man. He does all kinds of stuff with the dunk and smashing the backboard with this crazy thing. Everyone witnessed him do that. And then he flicks a football that bends the actual goalposts. They all know. They all know, right? Like, how can they not know?
Not to mention the people in the subway who see him literally stick to the roof of the subway car.
Literally sticking to the roof of the subway car. I know this is 2012, a little before everyone pulling out their phones and filming everything. Like, maybe it's right on the borderline, man. It's right on the line. What's your next one?
My next one is when he starts going on the hunt to find Uncle Ben's killer, and the first guy he comes across is like assaulting a woman, and that guy calls out a bunch of goons to like fight back against him, and he immediately ascends the fire escape to the extent that like any martial arts Jackie Chan master would be like, wow, that's amazing how quickly he ascends past up the fire escape. And then he climbs vertically straight up the wall. And by the time he gets to the top of the roof, within like 10 seconds, there's more goons waiting for him at the top. They're already there. How are these guys keeping up with this guy so quickly?
So weird. How's that work? My next one, I kind of alluded to it before, but like every time that Peter Parker comes home, he's just beat to hell, including Aunt May at the very end, watching a news report about all this insane stuff that just happened. He comes in and he's like wobbly and bleeding and gives her this like bloody smile of like, hey, Aunt May, you know that he, and maybe they just picked that up in the next one. I forget now, but like, this is could not be more clear that your nephew is Spider-Man. What more evidence do you need? Like, he's clearly Spider-Man, and yet Aunt May never puts it all together in this movie. I got questions.
She's grieving. Leave her alone.
Fair point. Fair point.
All right, my next one. You talked about it earlier, but during the carjacking scene, we see a cop shoot him or attempt to shoot him like 4 times, and he literally just dodges every bullet just by moving his body a certain way in the moment. And then when the cops are surrounding him at the end of the movie and he's got his mask off and Captain Stacy is pointing the gun at him, he's like extremely cautious, like, don't shoot me. It's okay. Don't shoot me. You can dodge bullets. We've seen this. Why are you cautious in this moment? You know how to move away from these bullets. I was like, this scene has no impact at this moment because we know he can just move away from those bullets because of his spider sense.
And to add on to that, why does he wait until the very last second to break free of the handcuffs and then just hold his head down and fight? Like, if you can break free of the handcuffs immediately and just get out of there. Doesn't make any sense. This is my last one, and it's a big one, Mike. Are we sure that the guy who killed Uncle Ben is really that bad? Are we really sure? Let me give you some evidence.
Okay.
So first of all, the cashier at the convenience store, an unbelievable dickhead. Truly.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't get your milk money?
It's 2 cents. Then he openly mocks him about, oh, your parents didn't give you enough money. What? That's terrible. Right. So then the next guy in line is, he was in line behind him the entire time. He sees this mocking go on. He does not use a weapon. He doesn't like stick him up and like threaten him with violence. He just knocks over a thing. The guy has to pick up and he grabs a bunch of cash, gets out of there. He throws Peter the milk that he had wanted so badly, like, hey, here you go, buddy. And then when the gunshot goes off, it's accidental. I mean, it's implied it's very accidental. He's not trying to shoot Uncle Ben. You think so?
No, he's absolutely trying to shoot him. Yes, because Uncle Ben grabs the gun and you see him intentionally angle the gun up into Uncle Ben's chest before he fires. They like struggle to move it into his chest, and then he fires. 100%. Right. He's trying to murder him.
All right. That's fair. So he is an intentional murderer. I'm just saying, like, at the time,
he gave him some milk. He's not a bad guy.
Like, if I'm Peter Parker, I'm actually going after the cashier at the convenience store rather than this guy with the star on his left wrist. This guy was a total jerk. He was the one that actually was the impetus for all of this to happen. If you'd just given him the milk, he would have just walked away and everything would have been fine. I would have gone after the cashier instead of the star guy.
I just hate that they recycled the same scene from Spider-Man 1 where it's because of what happened that it's actually Peter's fault that Joe Chill killed his uncle again. Like, we don't need to see it being his fault again, all over again. Yeah. So my last one, at the beginning of the movie, Peter goes upstairs, but before he has spider powers, He goes upstairs to his room to like do research or whatever on his computer, and he like locks the door with a remote lock that activates a weird like robotic switch that locks the door to his room. Dude, the lock is right there within 2 feet of your arm. Why do you need this weird robotic lock with a remote control? It's right. I know you're a science like tech genius, and this is kind of furthering that point, but it's right there, man. That's not practical. Not practical in any
No.
way.
He's just flexing because he's such a genius, apparently. All right, Mike. Now it's time to talk about what this film was really all about. Let me tell you, Mike, if you listen to director Mark Webb and producer Avi Arad, the central thematic thesis of this cinematic endeavor is actually incredibly poetic. We all have a missing piece. It's a deep existential dive into the voids we carry as human beings and the desperate, often destructive lengths we go to in order to make ourselves whole. Peter Parker is missing his parents, and Peter actively uses the Spider-Man persona to fill that specific void created by the loss of his mother and father. He is essentially building a web to catch the fragmented pieces of his own shattered identity. Dr. Connors has a missing piece as well. In this case, the missing piece is his right arm. It's not a metaphor. He's literally trying to get his right arm back. The villain is trying to biologically regrow his physical missing piece, and our hero is trying to psychologically regrow the family structure by dressing up in spandex and taking out his anger on muggers in alleyways. It may not be subtle, but it drives dual character arcs. Both of these men are completely defined by the things they lack. This movie is forcing us to confront the duality of trauma. When faced with a profound emptiness, do you use your pain to protect the vulnerable? Or do you inject yourself with a cross-species genetics and try to turn all of Manhattan into scaly, cold-blooded reptilian? It's a tale as old as time.
Well, Mark, as always, what you said was deeply moving and poetic and insightful. Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't really have anything for this movie. I have a couple of things. I was actually deeply remorseful that I preemptively shot my shot with the whole conspiracy theory from Dark Phoenix, where there are shape-shifting lizard people controlling all of New York City. I feel a little bad that I didn't save that one for this movie.
Yeah. It's literally about the lizard people, Mike, and controlling our world, creating more lizard people. So,
but I had also read in the IMDb trivia about that this movie was about missing pieces. Oh, Peter's missing his parents, and Lizard is missing his arm. Isn't that poetic? And I really thought, go fuck yourself. This movie is really, what's it all about? Who cares? And so that's really all I got for this one.
a beautiful segue into our final verdict. Mike, why don't you lead us off?
I went bad. This movie is not good. It's not okay. It's not terrible. You can still kind of make fun of it. There are things about it that are kind of endearing, like the relationship between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, or I guess you could say the chemistry between them. The action's bad. The characters' designs are bad. The costumes are bad. I just think this movie is kind of bad overall. It's very forgettable, and it's not fun to watch. I don't really want to watch it again. I know we've talked about movies like that before. I don't want to watch it again, but this is definitely like, Mark, I'm kind of mad at you for making me watch this again. So this is not a good movie. So because it's not good, it's bad. That's my verdict. It's bad.
We've gone deep on this, way, way deeper than it deserves. As I said before, I think it's a fascinating icon in superhero cinema history. It's that liminal space between the Tobey Maguire films and the Tom Holland MCU films. As a result, I'm going to say it's okay. I mentioned this before. The worst place a superhero film can land is just okay. And this movie, to me, is extremely mid. There are really frustrating parts about it. The new costume, the villain look, the bad writing, and a ton of important plot points that are seeded without paying off. At the same time, The leads are all excellent. There's great chemistry between the actors. And I do think the details around the edges are pretty well done. I don't hate it. I don't like it. It falls in that mushy middle. It's okay. It's not a good place to be. Well, let's talk about some things that are good. We like to send our audience out of here on some good recommendations. Do you have a comic recommendation, Mike?
I do. So this is not necessarily related to the movie, except for the fact that it's a Spider-Man comic, but I've been kind of waiting to talk about this, and this feels like the most applicable version to talk about this. So 1987's Craven's Last Hunt, written by J.M. DeMatteis, penciled by Mike Zeck. This is largely considered to be one of the best Spider-Man comics ever made. It actually came right in the middle of what I was talking about last week in Spider-Man 3 with the black suit saga, because he is still in his black suit during this run. But basically, Craven comes to town, hunts Spider-Man. He hits him with a tranquilizer dart that makes everybody think that he's dead. There's a very iconic image of Spider-Man rising up out of the grave once his tranquilizer has worn off. That's actually one of the comics iconic covers, is him in the black suit coming out of a grave and covered in dirt and everything like that. It's a great comic. It's pretty short. It's like 150 pages, collects about 7, maybe 8 different issues across a couple different runs of like Web of Spider and Spectacular Spider-Man and things like that. But if you haven't read it, it's absolutely one of the ones that I would add to your reading list, because it's pretty iconic when it comes to Spider-Man in general. So that's where I would go for Amazing Spider-Man. That's my best connection.
Yeah, I need to read it. I've actually never read that comic run. And yeah, we've talked about it. You've mentioned it before. I'm excited. I'm definitely going to go back and read that because that's a great recommendation. I've heard nothing but good things about it, so I need to check that out. I went with the Gwen Stacy connection, and I'm going with the Spider Gwen run from 2015, written by Jason Latour and art by Robbie Rodriguez. If you watch Into the Spider-Verse, which if you're listening to this podcast, you've definitely watched Into the Spider-Verse. It's the remix of Gwen Stacy was bitten by the spider and she becomes Spider-Man. And it's just a really cool remix of the character. And you get other supporting characters like Frank Castle, Kingpin, Daredevil, Vulture, and Kraven the Hunter, all in this 2015 book. Cool introduction to her. Spider-Gwen has actually kind of become a fairly, I don't know, like a pretty big character, I guess, in all of Marvel. And
Yeah, kind of mid, yeah.
yeah, come to the regular Spider-Man universe here on Earth 616, as it's known canonically. So there's a lot that they've kind of taken off from that, but this was sort of the original run, Spider-Gwen from 2015. Let's hear your film recommendation, Mike.
So I went with the Andrew Garfield connection, and Andrew Garfield is in what I think is a very, very underrated film, directed by Martin Scorsese himself, 2016's Silence. I can see you're pumped for this one. I'm so glad to see how pumped you are for this
Hell
one.
yeah. Hell yeah.
So Silence is about or actually it's 2 Jesuit priests. Jesuits are the Portuguese priests in the 17th century, and they go to Japan to try and rescue one of their mentors who has been trying to be a missionary in like feudal Japan, and the Japanese were having none of it basically, and they imprisoned him. Their attempt to peacefully bring him back, and it's a lot of deep themes about faith, because Scorsese had a deeply Catholic upbringing. A lot of that resonates in this film, especially towards the end of the movie. It's a deeply beautiful movie. It's very brutal in a lot of sense. You see a lot of like what I would describe as like very realistic violence, not like over the top, Tarantino blood gushing from every orifice kind of thing, but like rather it's like, oh, that's actually, if that happened to me, that would be absolutely horrific, and I don't think I could handle that kind of thing. But it's very poignant, it's very deep, it's very moving, it's very emotional. One of his most underrated movies of all time, Martin Scorsese's Silence from 2016. Check it out if you're in a very a very somber mood, I would say.
Mike, I'm so glad you recommended this film. I thought about it a lot. It's really one of the best explorations of faith, Christian faith specifically, I've ever seen on film. If you like Shogun, you will really like this film because I
Great
think
comparison, yeah.
yeah, it's Shogun to me is like one of the best shows of the decade, easily.
Dude, if not ever. Yeah, the movies, that show's
Yeah.
incredible.
Absolutely incredible. The themes of trying to bring Christianity to a world that has no use for it, and in fact is offended by the fact that you would come there to try to proselytize, the lengths they go to punish those people that are doing that, to send a message of do not come here to try to tell us who this new God is. And
Yeah.
yet the flip side of that faith, right, of suffering is validation of our faith. And to suffer is the entire essence of Christianity. It explores Christianity as I view Christianity in a way that very few films have ever done. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And as you said, extremely underrated and overlooked in the Martin Scorsese filmography. Andrew Garfield is brilliant in this movie. Adam Driver, brilliant in this movie.
Liam Neeson, yeah.
Liam Neeson, another future superhero cinema club star, brilliant in this movie. I mean, it is, I would say it's profound. It's a profound film. I'm so glad you recommend it.
Very profound. And it's one of those movies where the last shot of the movie is the best shot. Like they saved the best for last. I feel like Scorsese intentionally did that. And it's literally like that final shot has been completely engraved in my brain since I've seen it. Like it's totally haunted me, that final shot of the movie.
It's like the exact opposite of like a shallow, superficial superhero film. I love that you said it. I'm not going quite as like heavy as you are with this one, but I am going to recommend a movie that I love unabashedly. The connection is a little more obscure than yours. It goes to Campbell Scott, who plays Richard Parker in this film. And I'm talking about 1992's Singles by Cameron Crowe. Now, Cameron Crowe, pretty iconic director. I'm sure we all know him very well.
Yeah, he did We Got a Zoo.
Exactly. Responsible for classics like We've Got a Zoo.
We Bought a Zoo, excuse me.
There we go. No, this one was sandwiched between 1989's Say Anything and 1996's Jerry Maguire, two films that have obviously been praised quite a bit. I kind of feel like this one is sort of his underrated, speaking of underrated masters. It's an amazing snapshot of the emergence of grunge culture in real time. It came out in 1992. Cameron Crowe, I think, was living in Seattle at the time, so he was there for the grunge explosion. Singles really captures that explosion as kind of part of a side plot that really involves what it was like to be young and in love in the 1990s. And I think it actually really captures that very well as someone, I'm a little younger than that. Wasn't exactly my time frame, but yeah, it's a beautiful film. It's very funny and well written, well observed, as all of his films are. Features members of Pearl Jam and Soundgarden in supporting roles. In fact, Eddie Vedder himself plays the drummer in the film's fictional band Citizen Dick.
Yeah, and Chris Cornell is in it too.
Chris Cornell's in it. It just captures grunge in real time in a way that's like actually like very useful for the future moving forward. I think if you were ever like, if you're a younger person that's like, what happened during the 90s? Because it's really difficult to put into words like what a big cultural phenomenon grunge music was, the way it absolutely just ended hair metal of the 80s, just with like literally like a Thor level lightning bolt of just like there shall be no more hair metal, and it just
Yep.
threw it down, and it was like Guns N' Roses, Poison, all of them just were wiped away with one thunderstruck from
White Snake,
Kurt Cobain and
Rat
White Snake.
Warrants.
They're all just gone with one real stroke, and this kind of captures what that was like. It's really cool, and it also kind of has a very 90s cast, right? So Bridget Fonda, who is retired from acting, only really appeared in 90s movies. Campbell Scott, as we mentioned, Kira Sedgwick, Matt Dillon, another 90s actor,
Big time,
and
yeah.
Bill Pullman, the president, just a few years later in Independence Day. It's not like on the level of Jerry Maguire or Almost Famous, but it's still like a really good, really strong Cameron Crowe film, and one that was on cable constantly when I was younger. It has a special place in my heart. Couldn't recommend it highly enough. 1992's Singles. And on that note, we're going to wrap up an extended episode. Man, we went deep on this.
We did. Yeah, we went pretty
It's-
deep
it's-
on a very shallow film.
Like I said, man, Amazing Spider-Man, it has a very interesting space in superhero cinema history. I'm glad we went so deep on what's not a great movie.
This will not be our last time watching a movie that was made just so a studio could keep the rights to something.
Just putting it out there. Quite a bit of product moving forward. And in fact, we still got one more to go, baby. Our season
One more.
finale on The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The highly anticipated. People were like, this one made $750 million.
Run it back,
Can't
baby.
wait for the sequel. Let's run it back. Let's get the Rhino in there and Electro. We finally get the Green Goblin and just the whole thing. It's been a long time, Mike, since I've watched The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm really curious to see how this film holds up, considering how much time we've spent with The Amazing Spider-Man. So join us next week for our season finale on Superhero Cinema Club.
Superhero Cinema Club is hosted by Mark Schiff and me, Mike Carnes. Produced by Mark Schiff. Editing by Mike Carnes. Original music provided by Chris Carnes. Find him on Spotify. Be sure to follow us on social media. You can find us at Superhero Cinema Club, and don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a review. Join us next time as we dive into another epic adventure from the world of superhero cinema.